Hi there, and welcome to Tia Sách. You are listening to the summary book of Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't, by Simon Sinek. Before we go into the details, let's begin with the introduction. Why some lead and others follow. Why is society structured the way it is today? Some people seem to hold all the power, making decisions that shape lives, while others struggle with little control over their own circumstances. Where do these hierarchies come from? Leadership is not a modern invention. For thousands of years, human societies have naturally divided into leaders and followers as a means of survival. But how is this division rooted in our biology? Are all leaders worth following? So what truly defines a great leader? These are the questions we will explore in the following Tia Sách. By the end, we will see that the most effective leaders prioritize their people over personal gain. Rather than chasing short-term profits or self-interest, they create an environment where collaboration and innovation thrive. By putting their teams first, they build trust, loyalty, and lasting success, not just for themselves, but for everyone they lead. With that in mind, let's dive in and discover what makes leadership truly work. That's the end of the introduction. Why some lead and others follow. Tia Sách. 1. The biology of leadership and trust. From early human history to modern times, survival has depended on cooperation. Hierarchies formed because they provided an evolutionary advantage. Strong leaders received more resources in exchange for guiding and protecting their groups. This structure wasn't imposed. It emerged naturally, driven by the chemistry of our own bodies. Hormones play a crucial role in shaping social order. Dopamine gives us a rush of excitement when we achieve a goal, pushing us to seek success. Endorphins help us endure pain and exhaustion, allowing hunters in early societies to keep going despite physical strain. Meanwhile, serotonin and oxytocin build trust and connection, reinforcing social bonds and making us feel safe within a group. In ancient hunter-gatherer societies, those who could endure the hardships of hunting earned higher status. Their physical effort, fueled by endorphins, ensured food for the community, giving them a position of leadership. Others, unable to hunt, took on supporting roles like gathering fruits. This division marked the first step towards structured social hierarchy. But hierarchy isn't just about power, it's also about unity. Serotonin and oxytocin prevent jealousy from destroying social order. They create feelings of pride, trust, and connection, helping people accept their roles while still feeling valued. These same biological forces continue to shape modern organizations, where leadership is built on both achievement and trust. Our instincts may have been shaped by evolution, but understanding them allows us to create better leadership, one that balances ambition with empathy, strength with connection, and power with responsibility. That was Tia Sách. 1. The biology of leadership and trust. Now, let's move to Tia Sách 2. Why trust and empathy matter in leadership. Living in groups has always been a survival advantage. It allows us to share responsibilities, protect one another, and focus on progress, rather than just avoiding danger. In prehistoric times, this meant working together to secure food, shelter, and safety from predators. Today, it means creating stable environments where people feel secure enough to innovate and grow. But this sense of security doesn't just happen, it depends on leadership. A strong leader draws a circle of safety around their people, fostering trust and cooperation. Within this circle, members share common values and protect one another, pooling resources to achieve success. The size of this circle depends on the leader's willingness to extend it. Some leaders, like Bob Chapman at Hazen Sandiacre, revolutionized management by making employees feel truly valued. By creating an environment of trust, he encouraged employees to support one another. Some even donate their own vacation days to colleagues in need. However, what makes people feel safe in a group? The answer lies in oxytocin, the hormone that strengthens bonds and fosters empathy mentioned in the last Tia Sách. Released through social interactions, oxytocin builds trust, reinforcing the connections between people. When leaders prioritize their team's well-being, they trigger a cycle of trust and cooperation. As individuals experience empathy from their leader, they, in turn, extend empathy to their peers. Over time, this creates a culture of collaboration and shared success. However, oxytocin doesn't work instantly. Unlike dopamine, which gives an immediate sense of reward, oxytocin builds gradually. This slow process is an evolutionary safeguard. It ensures that trust is given only to those who prove themselves over time. As a leader, patience and consistency are key. By continuously prioritizing the needs of their team, leaders earn trust, and in return, their teams become more engaged, innovative, and resilient. We've just finished Tia Sách 2, Why Trust and Empathy Matter in Leadership. Tia Sách 3, Leadership Shapes Culture. A company's success isn't just about profits and deals, it's about culture. A leader sets the tone for how employees interact, solve problems, and uphold company values. That culture influences every decision, from hiring to customer service, and shapes the company's future. Consider Goldman Sachs. In the 1970s and 1980s, it followed a long-term greedy approach, prioritizing strong client relationships over quick gains. But in the 1990s, new leadership changed course. Short-term profits took center stage, even at clients' expense. This led to a culture shift that trickled down to every level of the firm. During this period, layoffs became a quick way to manage losses. Employees felt insecure, not knowing if they would be next. Over time, this eroded trust and loyalty. However, in 2016, Goldman Sachs tried to reverse this trend. The company moved from rigid annual reviews to a continuous feedback system. Managers now engage with employees, one-on-one, offering regular guidance and support. This helps workers feel seen and valued, rather than treated as mere statistics. Leadership doesn't just define business strategy, it directly impacts how employees behave, especially in moments of crisis. The 2008 terrorist attack on the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in Mumbai is a striking example. The hotel's culture emphasized that guests came first, and employees embodied this value, even in life-threatening situations. Many who had the chance to escape chose instead to stay and protect guests. Some even formed human shields, ultimately sacrificing their lives. Real leadership demands presence and empathy. When bosses treat employees like numbers, they lose sight of the human element. When leaders invest time and attention in their teams, people feel safe and motivated. Trust takes patience to build, but a leader who consistently values each individual fosters loyalty, creativity, and resilience. In the end, great leaders create an environment where people can thrive. They offer a clear vision, encourage open communication, and recognize the human side of business. When culture reflects those values, everyone benefits, from the newest hire to the most loyal customer. That was Tia Sách 3. Leadership Shapes Culture. Let's continue with Tia Sách 4, The Dangers of Disconnection, When Leadership Fails. Now, let's look at a few bad examples when leaders lose their connection to the people they serve, and therefore their decisions become cold and harmful. This happens because responsibility is tied to empathy. When leaders see their team as real individuals, they care about their well-being. But when distance, whether physical or emotional, separates them, they lose touch with the impact of their choices. This leads to abstraction, where people become numbers rather than human beings. The infamous Milgram experiment highlights this danger. Volunteers, acting as teachers, were told to deliver electric shocks to learners when they answered questions incorrectly. The shocks weren't real, but the teachers didn't know that. The results were shocking. When the learners were visible and their suffering was clear, many teachers hesitated. But when the learners were hidden, over half the teachers continued to the highest voltage, what would have been fatal shocks. This same detachment plays out in real-world leadership. On the Titanic's maiden voyage, management saw passengers as figures on a balance sheet, rather than lives to protect. To save money, they reduced the number of lifeboats, prioritizing cost over human safety. The ship was doomed regardless, but more lifeboats could have saved many lives. This is what happens when leaders focus on numbers instead of people. In the next Tia Sách, we will examine further to better understand why some individuals choose to dehumanize others, and how this culture contributes to a selfish, high-stress work environment. That's the end of Tia Sách 4, The Dangers of Disconnection, When Leadership Fails. Tia Sách 5, The Cost of Competition, and Putting Profits First. We have seen how putting profit above all else can make people feel unsafe. When individuals feel threatened, they often turn inward and stop caring about others. This mindset helps explain why the baby boomers, despite growing up in a time of economic prosperity, ended up supporting policies that favored self-interest over community. Born after World War II, baby boomers inherited a booming economy, but also faced intense pressure to maintain and improve their comfortable lifestyles. They outnumbered their parents' generation and found themselves competing for jobs, resources, and social standing with a larger peer group than any before them. This sense of competition, combined with a rebellious streak against their parents' collectivist, wartime values, made many baby boomers wary of authority and more focused on personal gain. One striking example of this shift was the collective support for President Ronald Reagan's decision to fire over 11,000 striking air traffic controllers in 1981. These workers had walked off the job, hoping for better pay and working conditions. Reagan refused to negotiate and gave them a strict deadline to return. When they didn't, he dismissed them. This event sent a strong message. Corporate and government interests came before worker well-being. This self-interest can become even more dangerous in large organizations. With vast numbers of consumers, shareholders, and employees, it's easy to reduce people to abstractions. Consider the Peanut Corporation of America, PCA, scandal in 2009. PCA supplied peanut products to more than 300 companies. When management learned some shipments were contaminated with salmonella, they sent them out anyway. Hundreds got sick, and 9 people died. The company simply saw higher costs in a recall, viewing human lives as numbers on a balance sheet rather than real individuals. Unsurprisingly, a culture of profits over people creates high stress. Workers who worry about job security produce more cortisol, the stress hormone. Long-term stress weakens health and shortens lifespans. Distracted by fear, employees can't cooperate and innovate because they feel isolated. Some companies try to fix stress with meditation or yoga sessions, but these programs offer only short-term relief if the overall environment remains unsafe. End of Tia Sách 5, The Cost of Competition and Putting Profits First. Tia Sách 6, From Quick Fix to True Connection. We've just explored how bad leadership often chases short-term gains and neglects real human needs. Now it's time to see what it takes to be a leader worth following. Modern society is hooked on better, faster performance, and dopamine plays a major part in this addiction. Once, dopamine rewarded behaviors that kept us alive. Today it fuels our desire for more likes, more sign-ups, or quick boosts in quarterly results, often pushing us to ignore long-term goals. Technology makes it easy to fall into this trap. A click on a human rights campaign can trigger a sense of accomplishment without any real effort behind it. Actual volunteering, though, involves empathy and commitment, fueled by serotonin and oxytocin. These hormones help us connect with people and value deeper relationships. Without that balance, we risk living for quick fixes instead of building lasting bonds. On a daily basis, hormones guide us in both achievement and cooperation. Dopamine and endorphins push us to reach goals, while serotonin and oxytocin nurture respect and trust within our communities. When we rely too heavily on quick dopamine hits, stress can rise, and empathy can suffer. In contrast, a person who starts the day productively and shares positive interactions with friends or family gets a healthy boost of feel-good hormones, serotonin and oxytocin, promoting resilience, better heart health, and a stronger sense of belonging. Leaders who understand this balance don't just focus on rapid wins, they prioritize meaningful relationships and long-term well-being. So how can leaders harness empathy, trust, and teamwork, moving beyond quick fixes and guiding their teams towards sustained success? We will find the answer in the next Tia Sách. We've reached to the end of Tia Sách 6, From Quick Fix to True Connection. Now is Tia Sách 7, Leading with Purpose, Trusting the Team. We always think that a leader's role is to set a vision that inspires everyone, Yet, being a leader also means putting others first and staying true to that vision. Think of Bill Gates. His dream was never just about making money. He wanted a computer on every desk. That clear purpose guided Microsoft's growth and kept it focused on real innovation. When leaders serve the group, they accept major responsibility. This is why Marines believe in leaders eat last. Senior officers literally stand at the end of the line in the mess hall. They do so to remind everyone that leaders must serve their people before they serve themselves. It's a commitment, not just a rule. But vision alone is not enough. Leaders must also trust the people closest to the work. They should allow employees to make decisions, and even bend rules if it helps achieve the broader goal. A clear vision ensures these choices remain aligned with what matters most. Productivity expert Charles Duhigg shared a striking case in his book, Smarter, Faster, Better. The FBI had a big software project called Sentinel. Instead of following the usual rigid processes, managers gave a small team control and let them use lean manufacturing ideas. The team finished 4 years early with a fraction of the expected cost. Because the experts had real authority, they did not have to wait for people less familiar with technology to approve each step. A leader's job is to show where the group is headed, then trust the team to find the best path. By putting people first, leaders earn respect. By sharing real power, they unlock innovation. The result is a culture that thrives and a vision that turns into reality. End of Tia Sách 7, Leading with Purpose, Trusting the Team. We've completed 7 Tia Sách of the summary book. Now, let's move on to the final conclusion. True leadership means prioritizing the well-being of your team above your own interests. People thrive when they feel safe, trusted, and supported by those in charge. Leaders who consistently foster such an environment build loyalty, inspire innovation, and nurture collaboration. They do this by being transparent, taking responsibility, and showing empathy. Over time, these qualities help create a strong and lasting team culture. Ultimately, great leaders are those who eat last, putting the needs of their people first, so everyone can succeed together. We've walked through the summary book of Leaders Eat Last: Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't, by Sinek. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.